All right, good morning. Fire away. Yeah, we're still in the process of evaluating a lot of different things. It's a big puzzle, as you know, with the draft coming up, but also free agency window opening up here, after we get back to Tampa shortly thereafter. So a lot of things that we're still trying to piece together, and then, that's where I'll go with that. Well, I don't want to talk about any particular player, or I can't, but players that, we always look for versatility at every position, where that's an asset. And, the corners that can play both inside and outside, they come in handy, especially if they can play them both well. So those are players that every team, values high. Some guys are really good outside but can't play inside. Some guys are really good inside, can't play outside, but some guys are a blend of both, and those guys, they have their value in this league.
Speaking of that, a guy on your own team, Hargraves, has played both outside and inside. Obviously banged up a little bit last year, but what are your thoughts on him 2 years going into his third year? Do you have a feel for where you want to play him, anything like that, or what was still going on?
That'll be an evolving process as well. We were very happy with Vernon after his rookie year. Thought that he was really trending up. Last year he had a couple setbacks, and he'd be the first to tell you that. We're by no means are we giving up on Vernon. He's got a lot of talent. I thought there at the end of the season, before he got hurt, put on IR with his hamstring, that he was showing glimpses of what he was his rookie year. And Vernon fits that to us. He fits that definition of the guy that can do both. Now, he actually enjoys playing inside just as much as outside, so it's not a situation where he's telling us where he wants to play. He'll do anything, and I had a lot of positive conversations with Vernon at the end of the year, and I'm excited where his mind is right now, and I think he's going to have a pretty good year this year.
What did you guys see in the Chris Godwin this year? How are you going to trace transition?
Yeah, well, we were real pleased with Chris. He came in right away with just a great attitude, first of all, a very mature guy, wants to win at all costs. He's really the definition, after just 1 year, he fits the definition of what we're looking for in being a Buck. Just his passion for the game, his intelligence of the game, his work ethic, and all those things. He's earned the right to earn a lot more playing time this year, and he did at the end of the year as well. So very reliable player. I don't want to say lucky.
Good, more good than bad. What do you attribute that to? Influence from the Patriots days, scouts, divine intervention? What do you attribute all that to?
We have had some good drafts, and I think the goal for the way to build a great team is through the draft, and I've learned that through past experiences where I've been. You mentioned the Patriots. We're going to build through the draft. We're going to supplement free agency, but your stars are going to come through the draft, and we have had some successful drafts, and I'm very fortunate to have, I don't want to call it luck, I've been fortunate to have some very good people on my staff with John Spytek and Mike Beal and Byron Kiefer. I could go on and on. I don't want to be remiss and leave anybody out, but I've been very fortunate to have a lot of guys with really good eyes, good evaluation skills, and that I trust. And I think that's very important for a general manager, to have guys on your staff that you trust, and I have that.
Has the league done well enough in incorporating what's given to you by college, the spread guys and all of that? So it's like the evolution towards being able to use them quickly hasn't been fast.
No, it could be a challenge, but scouting and evaluating players, whether it's free agency or the draft, is always a challenge. You never truly know what you got until you have them through a training camp or through a first year, sometimes even through 2-3 years. So the way the game is being played in college, we have to adapt. We have to adapt the way we evaluate, and coaches adapt too. I know coaches watch a little bit of college tape as well, And, you know, what they'll do, great coaches, which I feel like we do have, will adapt our game a little bit to fit the skill set of the players that we have. So we can't just automatically say we're not going to draft this player because he comes from a scheme which we don't incorporate. So it takes a little bit of a mesh of putting them in positions to where they're going to succeed and not necessarily just dictating what they're going to be in the NFL, what they did in college. Yeah, it is. Yeah. Other than I know that Brent really has enjoyed his time in Tampa so far. We really like Brent and value Brent, and we'd like to have Brent back.
Do you guys prototype positions, and if so, how does that help?
Say that again.
Do you guys set out prototypes for things, and if so, how does that help? Just scouting process?
Well, yeah, we do. We have definitions of what we're looking for each position, offensively, defensively. Dirk and Todd Monken and all of our position coaches have certain standards that they like. You try to hit on those standards as much as possible, but very few players will check all the boxes. So then that comes back to you have to adapt a little bit to, sometimes the best players aren't necessarily the 6'5", 310-pound defensive ends, defensive tackles. Sometimes they come in different shapes and sizes, so you have to adapt a little bit. The goal is to get the best football players as possible on the field, but you want to try to stay to your standards and the prototypes, but it doesn't always work that way. Oh yeah, I've looked at every pass rusher you can probably think of. Yeah, coming from a smaller school, well, not a smaller school, but a school that's not known to put out NFL products as of yet. Pretty impressive, raw guy. He's raw, but he's very explosive, strong, plays hard. I like the fact that he's raw because, there's big upside with him. He's a good player. Well, we still have a little time here to meet with players like him, to see where their mind is, to see if there's a desire and a passion to want to get better. I've said this 1,000 times. The players that I, in the past, have missed on haven't been the player. It's been the person. So we just want to make sure and do the best we can and incorporate as many things as we can to make sure that we are getting the best person to go along with the player. I'm not going to comment on that. We're cooperating. We've cooperated. It's in the league's hands, and that's really where I can go with that. Cooperating with the league. We do like Peyton Barber. At the end of the year, when he was given the carries, I think that he thrived. He's a big guy. He's 235, 238 pounds. He's got good wiggle to him. He's got good vision. He's got good power. I've seen players like him go on to become, with his skill set, go on to be productive starters in the league. So, to answer your question, I hope that answers your question.
Jason, you referenced Devin a little bit ago. Compare him to any player in the past?
There's quite a few. We do a lot of comparisons. Top of my head, you got me right now. So it's, he's a big, long defensive end that, has good speed and good power off the edge. There's quite a few guys like that, but there's been quite a few successful guys like that, and then there's also guys that don't make it for those things that I mentioned before. So that's the challenge.
Talk about the coaches' options at the end of the year, and then about 40 days later, you ended up making a switch, and then the defensive line coach with Jay Hayes. What took so long? Was it just the process of going over film, or was it the situation? What took so long for that to happen?
Dirk and I, we meet several times a day, obviously, and we see eye to eye on everything. We have to be together. At the end of the day, we see eye to eye. We come to an agreement. We evaluate the players. He evaluates the scheme. He evaluates together. We evaluate the coaches. That's his coaching staff. So we just had to make decisions based on personnel, coaching, what's best for moving forward for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
If you draft or if you sign defensive end, is Buckner going to have major input?
Well, we let our coaches have input on the players that we evaluate. They're evaluating every player too as well. We have many hours of draft meetings with them. They're part of the process. So, any more input than another coach? No, but he'll have just as much input as every other coach. Yeah, they've done a really good job. I've got a lot of admiration for the job that Howie has done there in the past, just with the structuring of their contracts and using every avenue to add to their team with trades, the draft, free agency, all those things. They've done a great job, and we do study what every other team does, what the good teams do, what the teams that haven't been successful, and we try to adapt to those things. But they've done a really good job. Jeffrey Lurie, I'm sure he's very proud of the product that they put out there and how he's done a great job. I think every case is different with those guys. I think if you think that the player is a very good player and has potential and ability to start and carry a team when your starter's down, yeah, it might drive the price up a little bit. I mean, I don't know. But I think it's not just any quarterback just because you're needing to sign a backup that you're going to pay a premium. I think it just depends on the player and his past success and experience. This particular draft, it's strong on the interior on both sides of the ball, offensive guard, center, and defensive tackle. Running back is pretty strong. There's a pretty good corner market this year, and then it's just like every draft. There's some weaknesses there too. He's rehabbing. Obviously JR was coming off an injury that he missed in 2016 season with, and now he's coming off another injury. So it's too early to tell where he's at right now. We have time to, hopefully he comes back at some point during OTAs or over the summer, and then we'll readdress it at that point. It's a super competitive division with great quarterback play, and now New Orleans last year had knocked it out of the park with their draft. They've got some great young players as well. It's very competitive, but we wouldn't want it any other way. I think it makes all of the teams better. We went toe-to-toe with them the last game when they were playing to win, and we were able to get the win there at the last game of the season, which took a little bit of the sourness out of the season. But we feel like we are very, very close, very, very close, and I'm very optimistic about this coming year. But it's good to have a tough division. I mean, I know it sounds crazy to say, but I'd rather play in a tough division, I know our players would too, than a weak division. Well, after we get back, when we go through all the medicals, that's first and foremost what the combine originated for. That's very important. We wouldn't be able to get all these players in one place to get all these physicals. Then also talking to the players and spending the time with the informal interviews, but then the formal interviews is where I get the most value out of it, because I'll watch all the tape of the workouts again once we get back along with my staff.